Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
We're talking about the CFL schedule, okay, Darren? And I would like your take on this. You were in the media business. People I saw last night bitching about Thursday night games, and whether it was that they couldn't get to the game or whatever, they were making an excuse why they couldn't. They're like, there should be 2 games Friday, 2 games Saturday in the CFL all year. I think that's what they said. Colin in Ottawa writes, and he says, I'm so sick and tired of hearing complaints about Thursday night games. Guys, the league needs TV numbers, and the fact you have to go back to work the next day is secondary. It's really not that big a deal. How far are you driving? Really? My point is I love a game Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I watch them all. How are you on the decision the CFL's made here to do this?
I go back and forth. I could go either way. I mean, at the end of the day, they got to make a decision that's best for them. I'm never somebody who only looks at me and what works best for me and considers that the best option for everybody, right? I've never been that guy. If you want to know what would be good for me, I love the idea of having not 2 games Saturday, 2 games Sunday. Because what this league, the cornerstone of the league and TV, Friday night football. That is it for me, right? I would say have a doubleheader every Friday night and sprinkle the games, the other 3 games or other 2 games outside of that, however you want. But I would go with a doubleheader Friday night every week. Those would be your biggest 2 games. For me, that's it. And definitely have something on, Thursday and Saturday or Saturday, Sunday, whatever you want.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
This former producer of major market television shows writing into us anonymously to say he just found our show on Game Plus Television. Here's some tips. The show has ADD. It's all over the place. Your sound effects are annoying. And your host is arrogant. Right on all counts. But that's what we want. That's what we wanted it to be.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
I smile every time I hear that. Is that what you're trying to do, Clark and Jordan?
How about that?
Welcome inside the RP Show. Is arrogant such a bad thing? Let's define arrogant. Confident? Yeah. I hope you're ready to have some fun on a Monday. Episode number 1281 of your favorite daytime sports talk show is leaving port, heading out into the ocean. Here for the next 2 hours of sports talk. Let's bring in the Moose, Darren Moose DuPont. I'm sure you're ready for sports talk, Moose. I'm sure you're ready. I think that I scared that guy off. That producer has never come back. I bit him in the ass so
Or
bad.
he changed his username.
How you do? Yeah, exactly. How you doing, man? What do you got before we get down to business? What do you have?
I'm doing great. You know that. Great weekend. Good morning, actually. Good start to the week. So, let's go.
Good. I like to hear that. The guests today are Sean Reynolds of Sportsnet Winnipeg and Eric Engels of Sportsnet Montreal. And I got to get a text to our good guy, Bob Merrier, sober coach to the stars. You know, Bobby, I got to text him to see what Habs questions he has. If you have Habs questions for Eric Engels, and for that matter, Jets questions for Sean Reynolds, would you please fire him in? 902-518-3033 right now. Can you hit the quick 6 show horn, please, Director Jordan? And we'll go. We'll give her. Here's the juxtaposition of my life. Paradox. I don't even know what those mean, but the big story, Darren, is this. It's being billed by some as Canada's biggest men's soccer game ever. Jesse Marsh, who was named team coach in mid-May, tried to steer clear of the hype, suggesting instead that Tuesday's matchup against favored Argentina in the Copa America semifinals will be another important step forward for the national program. Canada beat Venezuela 4-3 in penalties in Friday's quarterfinals to advance to the Final Four. Uruguay and Colombia play Wednesday in the other semifinal. So I'm sitting here going, everywhere I turn in Canada, this game is in my face. So am I going to watch? Probably. Well, am I going to have any idea what's going on? No. But you know what I'm starting to think? I'm starting to think that the soccer people that have been pounding this down my throat for years, just trying to get in, they don't need me to be the analyst. Just talk about it, Rod. Just get with it. And I just feel, what did the one viewer say here a couple years ago? Rod doesn't talk about anything he doesn't know. which is a rarity in the media these days. But I guess if we just talk about it, that would make people happy, right? I still don't know what's going on.
You know what? That's the extent, right? Again, I told you knew I went to the soccer game here at BMO with Team Canada. Yes. That was great. But again, not knowing the ins and outs of the game necessarily, or knowing the ins and outs of the team, you go as a fan. And I watched the quarterfinal game as a fan. I'm going to watch Tuesday's game as a fan of Team Canada. And I think if we talk about it on here, just as fans of Team Canada, because that's what we are. We're not analysts or experts, and we don't pretend to be.
Yeah, well, I don't. I'm going to watch it, but I'm just saying I don't know it. But maybe that's not a prerequisite. So anyways, we open with the big story that's across the land. It's going to get messy. I came up with that on my own. By the way, before we go any further, make your birthday unforgettable at Golden Ticket Sports Center in Moose Jaw. Book your birthday party with us for a fun-filled celebration packed with sports games and endless excitement. Visit GoldenTicketSportsCenter.com. We got a golf course here, batting cages, a gym, yoga studio, everything you want. And this morning I was on our morning meeting. We do it via Zoom, basically. How about that guy that walked right up to me in the middle of the meeting, Darren? Can you tell him, what did it look like to you? I got interrupted by somebody here in Moose Jaw right in the middle of it.
Somebody who had never met you, but obviously was a fan, walked up and was like, wait a second, you're that guy. You're Rod Pedersen. Yeah. And so then the conversation, we could hardly hear what he was saying, but that happens. You and I have dealt with that, and others, like in this business. You're walking down a stadium in a concourse, at a stadium, or you're somewhere, and all of a sudden somebody shouts your name, and you do this, and all of a sudden, it's somebody who has seen you somewhere who just wants to say hi.
Yes, that was his deal. He was like, hey, I know you. You're RodPedersen.com. I'm like, yeah, you got me. That's what I said. Oh, by the way, before I get into the CFL, which is my big story, I did have a God shot on the weekend. I think it's very evident to everybody what I want to do with my life. Look at the shirt that I'm wearing. It's from my guy, Brent Waltman. He sent it to me it's Brent in Wellington. He found me here in Moose Jaw and sent me this. I did have a God shot. The South Florida Tribune, Scott at the South Florida Tribune, reached out to me randomly yesterday and said, Rod, I see that you're at all the Panthers stuff. The only sport we don't really cover here at the South Florida Tribune is the Panthers and the NHL. And we got a lot of people begging us for coverage for the Panthers, and I just don't do it. We do the Dolphins and the Miami Hurricanes and FAU and the Marlins. Would you be interested in covering the Panthers for the South Florida Tribune? How about yes? Sounds like yes, I would.
How about that?
So that happened, and then he asked where I live in Florida. I said Boca Raton. He goes, well, we do some coverage of Florida Atlantic University, too. Would you be interested in going down there and covering the football and the NCAA basketball? Pretty sure I would. And we won't meld that into the Rod Pedersen show, but I'll do it with everything else that I do. And it was just simply Scott saying, I see you're around here doing the hockey thing. Would you be interested in joining the South Florida Tribune? Yeah. It's not going to change any of what we do here, by the way. It's certainly not going to affect our CFL coverage. So here's the wrap because we're going to talk on-field and off-field here, the delicious stuff. Point 2, this is from the Canadian Press Wire. I did not write this. The Edmonton Elks, because I write for the South Florida Tribune. The Edmonton Elks and Hamilton Tiger Cats are the only CFL teams without a win after 5 weeks of CFL play. The Ticats slipped to 0-5 last night when they were whipped 44-28 by the visiting BC Lions. The 0-4 Elks had a bye week. Week 6 kicks off Thursday with the 5-0 Montreal Alouettes hosting the 2-2 Toronto Argonauts. So let's just settle into this here. You had the Stones to not change your pick Friday, Darren, with Streveler starting for Winnipeg. I have not gone back and looked at our picks, but I know that you got that right. You picked Winnipeg to beat Ottawa Friday night, and they did. We both picked Montreal to beat Calgary Saturday, and they did. And that was a thriller, 30-26. Death, taxes, and sprinkles of Jesus. The Alouettes are 5-0, baby. And then Sunday, it wasn't really a game. I'm seeing Ticats fans are leaving the stadium by halftime. I'm seeing that on Twitter. Ooh, doggy. So as I look at our picks and I add them all up here, Moose, what was your take coming out of Week 5?
I did not have the stones to change my pick on Winnipeg. I did not have the smarts to change my pick on Hamilton on Sunday, taking the Ticats for their first win, But you know what? Again, it feels like that's what this year is going to be for me predicting CFL games. I think you were 3-1 and I was 2-2. So away we go for another week. It was, you know what? It was another great week. It's every week's been good in this league. I mean, that Montreal game came down back and forth down to the wire. Winnipeg, obviously, Strevler doing his thing. And then BC, I thought again, it was an 0-4 team, but Hamilton had played some good football at times. And I thought their offense was getting better. BC flexed, and especially early in that game. The Lions are for real, and they are right there with Montreal as I clear-cut the two best teams. I mean, the Riders, too, are undefeated. You can't count them out. But, BC's got a claim as one of the best teams in the league.
You mean to tell me if I hadn't changed my pick on Friday, Winnipeg to Ottawa, I would have been 4-0. I just looked it up. Dagnabbit, you're right. I'd have been 4-0. But here's the thing. Yes. I've watched more CFL football this year than I ever have. And listen, I did not mean to start a holy war, a jihad, when I said on Friday that the best thing the CFL ever did was going Thursday to Sunday games. It spawned discussion all through the weekend. And I had some unbelievable negative stuff, not just written on our Facebook page, which, by the way, I can handle. I'm a big boy. But people blowing up my own personal phone from media in major markets across the country going, wake up! Wake up! What do you mean? It works for me. So what am I supposed to say? I can sit on I don't go to the games. I don't buy tickets. So I can sit there every night on the couch and watch Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday for the most part, unless the Moose Jaw Millers are playing, which we did play Friday, a doubleheader. So I did miss the Ottawa-Winnipeg game. But the rest of the games work great for me. Isn't that what it is, Darren? It's all about me in today's society. I couldn't believe the blowback when I said this one day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, one game a day for 4 days is the best thing the CFL could have done. Holy smoke. Did you see? People just go postal.
I know. You could say the best thing the CFL ever did is give every ticket holder a free jersey, and they'd still have a problem because it didn't include a free helmet with it as well. There's always going to be an issue because, again, it doesn't always work for everybody. That's not the idea. If the league's trying to find something that works for everyone, they're going to be playing that game for a long time and in a losing effort. It's trying to find out what's going to be best for most, right? I think it's refreshing. I think it's great. It's something new. And if they find over time that it doesn't work, I'm sure they'll tweak it.
They have been trying forever to please everybody. More than any, and how's it worked? So they're trying to settle on something here right now. BW on Edmonton writes, and he goes, I shared your meme about 4 nights of CFL football on the Eskimos, the Elkimos Facebook group. Wow. Only had one person who likes 4 nights a week, 100% dislike Thursday games. I'm ready to move on from this, although we can talk about whatever we want. But if the Oilers were playing Monday at 10 o'clock at night, you'd fill the place. So maybe stuff it. Even Kevin Carius of Sports 1440 Radio in Edmonton, when he was on here 2 Fridays ago, bitching about Sunday games at 5 o'clock in Edmonton. I'm like, again, if it was Sunday at 7 and it was the Oilers, you'd all go. So you're just making excuses. And I will say one thing about the Rider fans here. It triggered them. They're drawing record low crowds in the new stadium for their first 2 home games. And people from all over the province are saying the price of gas, the price of this, Thursday nights. I said, we weren't talking about you. We're not pointing the finger at you. 20 years with the team here, 80% of the ticket buyers come from a 60-mile radius. Where are they? That's the problem. You figure out why they aren't coming. We're not talking about you, Melfort, or PA, or Estevan, or Swift. We're not talking about you. right? What do you say, though? There's always the ones that get triggered. It's like the Panthers fans that go all over Serena when she says the Panthers are bandwagon fans. I'm not talking about the 20-year season ticket holders. Settle down. We're talking about the people that haven't gone for 20 years, but all of a sudden they're cramming their Facebook page with, oh, I'm the biggest Panthers fan. Blah, blah, blah. I admit I'm a bandwagon jumper. Now, I've got other stuff to get to here, and everybody can be, Carlos writes in and he says, double headers can be exhausting sometimes. He's talking about football. I mean, there's people that like, especially with Europe NFL games, 12 hours of football. Bro, I can't do it. I only really like watching the pregame shows and one game whenever the Cowboys are playing, which is usually in prime time, and I'm good. I can't sit there for 9 hours. 3 hours a night is perfect for old people like me. Bill writes in, Bill Edwards, he says, good morning, crew from Smoky Regina. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says the Stampeders youth showed, so did their imminent return to greatness. However you want to say it. I got to stay out of the comments for a second. We do have hockey talk picks coming up, NFL, Blue Jays, baseball. We got a lot of stuff coming up here. But I do have CFL notes. Yes, thank you, Robert in Las Vegas. He says, wide receiver Lucky Whitehead signs with the Blue Bombers. Friend of the show. But we got a couple notes I got to make quickly. Chad Kelly. Apparently, Ryan Dinwiddie came out, the coach of the Argos, and said when Chad Kelly comes off suspension, they will welcome him back. I didn't even read the story. I just saw the headline. My take on that, since it is the RP show, then I'll give it to Darren, is this. You people, CFL fans and Argo fans, can decide whether you want to support the Argos with this decision. It's their team, and they can do whatever they want. So to bitch and moan about it is a waste of time. As my mom would say, might as well piss into the wind. So that's it. If they want to bring back Chad Kelly and start him immediately, it's their team. You decide whether you want to support him and watch. That's my take. You?
Yeah, if they deem that Chad Kelly has, served his suspension, whatever the extra work is that the league is asking him to do, and maybe the team's asking him to do, if they feel like he's done all that and is going to be a positive member of the team and the league, and they're going to welcome him back, then that's the decision that they're going to make. You hate to say I put my trust in a team that maybe witnessed or allowed this to happen, but you put people in these positions, Ryan Dinwiddie to coach, Pinball to be the GM, all the rest, to make these decisions. So if they deem that he's good to go, that's what the decision is going to be, and we'll wait and see what the ramifications are from a social media and a ticket buying perspective.
So before we break, because we're up against it for break, we have more CFL points to get to. The poll question is, should the NHL take a break? And Joe Lazito, who's watching in New York City, where we're very big in New York on Altus Cable and New Jersey, Joe Lazito says, we're on a break. No, you're not, because the development camps are going. I saw the photo from the Winnipeg Jets, their team photo from the development camp. They're not. We can take a break as NHL consumers. They're not taking a break, not until August anyways. And so when I initially saw this, 83% of respondents were saying yes, the NHL should take a break. But since we've gone to air, 57% are saying yes, they should take a break. So the reason I bring this up is on Saturday, I was roaming Buffalo Pound with Joe. He was doing some work there. We had a drone going, and I just went off on my own. You know how I do. And the more I walked, the more I wanted to walk. I got my brand new iPhone 15. I'm taking photos of flowers, and it's all great. And my phone goes up. It's my friend Vaughn from Calgary going, what do you think of the Savoy trade? What do you think? I'm like, what? Because Friday night I called a doubleheader on baseball. Saturday morning I was at Buffalo Pound sniffing the lilies and just, what? No. But Vaughn is the guy that will be 365, 24/7. As a fan, he's that guy, which is fine. But it's not me, not right now. That's not my job. I'm taking the weekends off. So I'm saying, yeah, the NHL. Actually, I'm saying no. The NHL doesn't need to take a break. We do. as fans and followers of the league. And we'll pick and choose when that is. You keep your mind on that, Darren. You answer it when we come back. We'll be right back. We're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men without hats. And spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw Event Center, Saturday, November 16th. Tickets on sale now at sastix.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. 902-518-3033, the number to reach us here. By the way, have you signed up for Landmark Extras yet? I almost went to a movie yesterday, but I'm saving it. And I'll tell you what movie that is coming in theaters July 19th, but just hang on. Sign up at landmarkcinemas.com right now. It's right top of the page. Just click on that, Landmark Extras. It's the rewards program. Join Moose and I at the movies. Let's bring the Mooth in. 902-518-3033. So before we go any further, should the NHL take a break or not?
I think every league should take a break. I think it gives fans an opportunity to recharge. You know, this kind of is them taking a break in terms of full on media blitz. But you're right. Teams are having their developmental camps. It's on social. It's all the rest. The free agent, there was the trade in Edmonton, which, by the way, I think was a great trade for Edmonton. But yeah, I think every league needs to take a break, because then when you come back, you can have hey, we're back. And you get a full flood of everybody needs to take a break now and then. We all got to take a vacation. Everybody just needs to take some time away, a weekend to shut your phone off. And then you come back refreshed and ready to go. So, yeah, leagues need to take a break.
It's funny you say that. We are 23 minutes into the first show of the week, and I'm going to give you a small little life tip here. Well, number one, Joe Lozado is watching in New York right now. He writes it. He says, you're 100% right, Rod. It's up to us to step away. The NHL is a business. Owners care about money first and foremost. Taking breaks are potential lost revenue. That's a no-go for them. That's what I'm saying. It's put in my 10 things column on the weekend. I said coverage of your league needs to be like a garden hose, always on. You can take a sip if you want, put it down, or whatever. But it always needs to be on. In my mind, that's just me. And the other thing, for example here, Darren. Number one, I open up the phone. Hi, Roddy. I'm wondering if you could plug our raffle. I saw your interview with ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. It's a chance to win ba-ba-ba-ba. That's one. Here's another one that just as I opened the phone this morning. Hey, Rod, I would like to chat with you and Darren about NASCAR Canada and their races upcoming. And it's all cool. It's not their fault. But 800 people want something. And guess what? I didn't handle it very well back in the day. I would just go drunk and snap on people. That's not, no. So it's, we'll get to you, get in line, take a number. That's kind of what you got to do. I know that now. Point 4, oh, hang on, I just hit the wrong button. Point 4, the Toronto Blue Jays have today off after winning 2 of 3 games in an exciting weekend series against the host Seattle Mariners. The Jays lost Friday's opener at T-Mobile Park 2-1. Bounced back with a 5-4 win Saturday. And then there was a wild one yesterday. I saw the highlights. A 5-4 victory in the rubber match. The Jays open a 3-game road series Tuesday against the San Francisco Giants. This just popped into my head. And I'm sorry it's going to offend some people. But I don't care because people offend easily these days. We haven't talked about this yet. Did you see when the NHL schedule came out that the Vancouver Canucks welcomed Steven Stamkos and the Nashville Predators on the very same day as Grey Cup? Grey Cup Sunday in November. Steven Stamkos and the Nashville Predators are in town. They'll drop the puck on that game right across the street from the 111th Grey Cup featuring the Saskatchewan Roughriders and the Montreal Alouettes. Oops. People are so upset saying, how can they do this? And it's, you guys, you ain't never going to get it. And I'm going to tell you an old story. Darren, does the name Farrah Fawcett mean anything to you?
Yep.
Okay. So you get that at least. In terms of your age, you get it. Farrah Fawcett was the 70s it girl. She was the 70s it girl. I'm going to parallel the NHL and the CFL to a Steve Martin stand-up. I know you also know Steve Martin. Neil Page. His stand-up when I was a kid, he goes, you want a little inside Hollywood stuff? You want some inside Hollywood stuff? Farrah Fawcett is so stuck up. Do you want to know how stuck up she is, Darren? She hasn't even called me once.
Oh, no.
The NHL's not thinking about you, CFL, and the Grey Cup. It reminds me of the 08 Grey Cup in Montreal, Alouettes and Stampeders. They retired Patrick Roy's number the night before, number 33, in the Bell Center. And the CFL was upset. They're not thinking about you. So the sooner you get over it, the better. That was my initial and only thought on that when that came down. What did you think when you saw that?
That's that's the initial reaction, and it's a good one because, everybody is going to go about their business in their own way, and you got to go about business in what works for you. And if the NHL is not thinking about you, you can't force somebody to think about you or look at things your way. You have to go about making sure that you do what's best for you given the circumstances you have. Now, on the flip side, my first thought was, this isn't very respectful by the Canucks in that marketplace who have not even say over the schedule. I know. And that's, you kind of would like some at least mutual corporate respect between the two entities. It would be nice to at least have a little bit of that professional courtesy. It's the Grey Cup. I understand you're going to have some overlap and building availability and all the rest. And even from the city, it's just very disrespectful. And I don't like it at all, even though, at the end of the day, the NHL doesn't really care, I guess.
No, they don't. And again, man, I don't know if, I was a hothead. I don't know if it was my fault or not. I just didn't know how to deal with things. So back then I would get triggered by the disrespect and stuff. I don't get triggered. Everybody else is getting triggered. They're not thinking about you. I was triggered, could have been triggered by this. In the NHL, my Panthers friends in Florida, they laugh at the amount of CFL coverage that we give on our show and on our social media channels. And I'm like, guys, number one, you're all Canadians, so come on. But it used to bother me. It doesn't bother me anymore. We're going to talk about it. You don't like it, you don't need to follow it. Right? It's that fair. But it is, I would be triggered before. I didn't like being laughed at. Now I don't care. We love the CFL, which, furthermore, I did the Blue Jays, PGA. I'll get to that in the sports update. The people are writing in with their Habs questions, by the way, and Jets questions, and I appreciate that. Sean Reynolds coming up next from Sportsnet Winnipeg. Eric Engels coming up from Sportsnet Montreal. Got a good one coming in there from Chad in Lethbridge. Thank you, Chad, for that question. More and more Habs questions would be great. Ryan, who's your favorite NHL team? Leaf! I'm sorry. Sorry for you.
Beautiful.
I'm surrounded by them. My co-host is one. My producer's one. And for some reason, he's smiling.
Right.
Oh, Darren, he runs Gotsa League Athletic Performance around here. GAP, Gotsa League Athletic Performance. Leave.
Awesome.
Why did I even ask?
Is that Andrew?
But what I see here, say what? Say what?
Was that Andrew?
No, Ryan, his cousin. Both very good-looking guys and very athletic. I can say that confidently. By the way, the Edmonton Elkamos are 0-4. We talked about the Argos bringing back Chad Kelly. You seem to fall in line with what I was saying. Like when his suspension's over around Labor Day, they'll bring him back, or whenever he served his 9 games. And that's their right. It's their team. Support him whether you want to or not. The Edmonton Elks signed 5 players yesterday, including Derek Moncrief and another aged CFLer. I can't remember. Oh, Sean Oakman, who the Argos released recently. Moncrief's not a bad boy. Good friend of ours, former LA Ram. Oakman is a bad boy out of Baylor. And I see people saying on social media that Jones is desperate now. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. Chris Jones, who's running the Edmonton Elkamos, that he feels the wall's closing in, is what I think somebody said. And what did I tell you last week, Darren? I would be signing older guys. If I was running a team, because we don't have time for you to figure it out. What do you think about Edmonton signing 5 vets? I didn't know all their names, but I knew obviously Oakman and Moncrief. 4 games into the season for them. They're 0-4.
Yeah, when you're close, sometimes veteran leadership and that experience can put you over the edge. And I hate to look at a team and say they're close to getting their first win, not close to necessarily contending for a Grey Cup, but they're close to being a decent football team and putting some wins on the board. Veterans can help stabilize that locker room, and that experience level can get you over the finish line in football games. When you're close, sometimes it's that experience of being there and being on winning teams that can be the difference between those 1-possession wins and 1-possession losses, right? Where sometimes rookies or young players will make mistakes and those wins turn into losses. So maybe this will help.
Well, listen, I like Jones. I talked to him on the phone not that long ago. However, as you sit back here in year 4, they set a pro sports record for longest home losing streak and go, now you're signing these guys? If you just sat back and looked at this blueprint and said, what has been your plan? You've gone through quarterbacks like trading cards here, and now you're doing it with linebackers and defense. Like, what was your plan when you sat down? But that tells me how screwed up the Edmonton Elkamos board has been. They wouldn't even know enough to ask him that question when they hired him in the first place. What's your plan, Chris? Because it doesn't look to me like there's been any plan there at all. I guess if there has been, it's clearly failed, and then usually you get fired for that. I'm not advocating for him to be fired, but, I mean, come on. It's year 4. With regard, a couple things on our notes before we break. Huge in Winnipeg writes in, he says, RP, congrats on the Panthers gig. Champs acquire champs of the media industry. Keep being a trailblazer. Love this show. Love Moose, too. Just to preface, I'll be covering the Panthers and FAU athletics for the South Florida Tribune. That's it. I'm not joining the Florida Panthers. But the South Florida Tribune says, you're going to the games anyways. Why don't you work for us? Okay. And Allie in Texas regarding our question, should the NHL take a break? She says, I never want the NHL to take a break. LOL. I can't get enough. And for those fans, you need to appease them. I said this about Rider fans back in the day. They are like lions. I had a buddy whose job was feeding the lions at the zoo, feeding the animals. And he said, the more you give them, the hungrier they got. They never got full. And I'm like, that's like Rider fans. That's like NHL fans. You got to keep giving it to them. And I had a great career doing it. Made a lot of money doing it. Moose, I will see you in hour 2.
See you then.
Sean Reynolds in next from Sportsnet Winnipeg. Eric Engels in hour 2 from Sportsnet Montreal. We're live on the Game Plus television network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
Now the race is on and here comes pride in the backstretch.
Celebrate 40 years of Sawyer Brown.
Some girls don't like boys like me.
With Shenandoah.
You got to get me to the church on the Cumberland Road.
Plus special guest George Fox. Saturday, October 26th, Moose Jaw Event Center.
I'll take the dirt road.
Tickets are on sale now at the Moose Jaw Event Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
6 days on the road and I'm
Sawyer Brown and Shenandoah live.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
I'm just going to say this now before we go any further. We're brought to you by Landmark Cinemas, and in Landmark Cinemas, July 19th, Twisters. This summer, the epic studio disaster movie returns with an adrenaline-pumping, seat-gripping, big-screen thrill ride that puts you in direct contact with one of nature's most wondrous and destructive forces. From the producers of the Jurassic and Indiana Jones series comes Twisters, a current-day chapter of the 1996 blockbuster Twister, in Landmark Cinemas, July 19th. I can't wait. Sean Reynolds joins us from Sportsnet Winnipeg. And Sean, our poll question today is, should the NHL take a break and maybe you could go watch a movie or something? I don't know. It's your business. Did we lose him? Oh, he froze up right as we went to him. Clark's, you could go to a movie, folks. I see the Winnipeg Jets just wrapped up their development camp at, what is it? Bell MTS Iceplex or whatever they call it there on the west side of Winnipeg. So that's all. But for a guy like Sean, I'm interested to get his answer to the poll question today. Should the NHL take a break? Because it is his business. Or maybe he would like, maybe he'd like a break. I don't know. Bomber Boy in Winnipeg writes in and he says, will Brad Lambert have the inside track for C2 on the Jets? That's the second line center job, folks, just so you know. That's what he's referring to. But we don't have Sean. We had him. You saw him on the screen. And usually what happens there is he got a phone call and it knocked him offline. So we have another one from Bomber Boy. Good morning, RP and all the squadaholics. What a great weekend of sports. Jays win. Team Canada wins. That's soccer. Friday night. And he says, and of course, my Bombers finally removed the 800-pound gorilla off their back. It was a great weekend of sports, and we're here today to talk about it. What is going on with Sean Reynolds? What's happening there, Producer Clark? I know it's not your fault. Oh, we got him. Okay, Sean, so we'll jump right in here. We got questions from the viewers, but I just want to ask you, should the NHL take a break or not? What would you vote on that?
No break. Hey, I love the analogy, feeding the lions. That's what it feels like. You've got your fan base of people who tune in to watch your show. We've got ours, and one thing I know is it seems like they can never get enough. So no breaks. Get them back to it.
Okay, I'm glad to hear you say that. So that's why we're on the air every day. And so number one, you answered that. Number two, I don't know, trade rumors. I don't know how you are on trade rumors, but who the heck is it? Somebody wrote it. Randy from Winnipeg says, trade rumor. Martin Necas for Nikolai Ehlers. I like it. That's what's floating around the Slurpee capital today?
I feel like that rumor has been going on for years and years and years. Listen, I know that the Jets are interested in Marty Necas. He's a player they have liked for a really long time. I think that there was noise some time ago about Nick Ehlers being on the move. And when I say some time ago, I'm talking years ago. Like, this is one of these rumors that just will not die. And usually when those rumors won't die, it's because teams usually have mutual interest, and you hear those kind of things behind the scenes. They haven't been able to make it work. But Nick Ehlers is a player that, you're thinking more and more with 1 year left on his contract that if they didn't move him, he would be interested in, testing the unrestricted free agent market. And we all know how that turned out for the Jets this year with the vast majority of their unrestricted free agents. And Marty Necas, again, is a guy that I think right from the point that he was drafted and came into the NHL, the Jets scouts were really high on that player. So there's a reason that rumor won't die, but it's, I'll believe it when I see it territory as far as something happening with that trade.
He's a great player. So too is Ehlers. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
I've seen all kinds of grades for the Jets free agency, and overall they haven't been great. What's yours, Sean? What's your synopsis here 1 week into it?
Yeah. I mean, it's not looking good. I know that the Jets had made a push to keep the likes of Brendan Dillon, to keep the likes of Sean Monahan. I think that there was a path by which they could have re-signed at the very least Brendan Dillon. So I think you have to look at that and think that's a player that they lost. In the end, I think what happened was their negotiations were not where the player wanted. I think they got to where the player wanted, but by the time they got to where the player wanted, he was able to take that same offer from other teams. And I think that maybe because of that, he chose to go elsewhere, just because we know Brendan Dillon wanted to talk about re-signing with the Jets a long time ago, not just recently. So I think that's one where the Jets played with that contract a little bit too much and ended up losing a player they could have kept. But in the end, it's like I said, that's a lot of really talented, established NHL players going out the door and not a lot coming back in right now. They've, nibbled around the edges of the kind of players that are, 1 foot in the AHL, 1 foot in the NHL kind of thing. But as this is a time of year you can use to make your team better. Clearly, I'm not saying anything anyone doesn't know. The Jets haven't been able to do that. As of right now, they are a lesser team on paper than they were last year.
That's what's fun about shows like this. It's different. Like you and your boy, your co-host. Sorry for your podcast. Yeah. Kenny and Rennie. Sorry, I was trying to get into my head. Ken Weeb, and I've been enjoying his social media stuff. Well, last week I was at the Moose Jaw Warriors Golf Social. I'm in Moose Jaw for the summer calling baseball. I just sat back, Sean, and just listened. That's why I bring this up. Stuff we can talk about here that you wouldn't know. You wouldn't talk about this on the Sportsnet panel. Guy said, that's what I overheard. Pierre-Luc Dubois got Todd McClellan fired. And all these dub guys love Todd McClellan. It's from Melville, for the Blades, Coach Swift Current, NHL guy. And that was what they said. He got fired in L.A. because of PLD. I'll just say, what do you think when you hear that? Do you even think it's true?
It's not just guys at the WHL level who said that, right? Like it's you heard that at the time. A lot of NHL people will say that as well. I mean, this was one of those situations where afterwards, Rob Blake kind of admitted the mistake in what he did by correcting it and moving Pierre-Luc Dubois along, said it wasn't a fit. But I mean, in the meantime, it's up to the coach to try and make that work with the player who admittedly after the fact wasn't the fit. But we all know how this goes. There's a pyramid at work here. And at the very top of the pyramid is the owner, and a little bit below that is the GM. And usually a coach will pay for GM's mistakes before the GM does, and I no doubt think that this is a case where that happened with Todd McClellan. By the way, just want to throw it out there. My buddy Dwight Hurst, his son Benson Hurst, is a draft pick of the Moose Jaw Warriors. Watch out for this kid coming. He's trying to elbow his way into that organization and doing a really good job heading there.
Well, if they drafted him, then he's obviously a tremendous player because this team, they're the defending WHL champs, and I've had such a great time here this summer with them. But it's, hey, Rennie, I think that's why the viewers love the talk like this. They don't understand kind of what you're saying. And Jeff Skinner was on NHL. Well, I do, but the fans don't really know this is how it works. And Jeff Skinner, well, now the Oilers, was on NHL radio last week, and he literally admitted to Scott Laughlin, he goes, I feel bad, all the coaches that got fired in Buffalo because it wasn't their fault. That was like, I can't believe he said that.
And sometimes, every once in a while, a coach will go out the door and the players will give the old, it wasn't his fault, it was our fault kind of thing. And sometimes they're just saying that. But a lot of times they're not. A lot of times they're taking a look and they're saying that coach is doing the very best with what they have. And we've seen this before, right? Like coaches are often, they are the victims of the situation that they're in. And listen, you're down there covering the Florida Panthers. I didn't get to see a It's too bad. I saw you in Montreal at the Cup final. Didn't get to see you down there,
Yeah.
Rod. But we're taking a look at Paul Maurice as a perfect example of a guy who was, a coach of the Winnipeg Jets as they were starting to decline. And the Jets to this day will talk about a room that needed fixing. That was Paul Maurice's room that they say the culture needed to be corrected on. And he goes and leaves this situation, finds another situation that fits for him, and he's a Cup champion, right? So every coach is just, to a degree going to be a victim or a benefactor of the situation they find themselves in. Paul Maurice is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, and that's why I think these coaches keep getting hired, to be honest with you, because the GMs that they know it wasn't your fault in that stop and why you got fired. They know, right? And the interesting thing is, too, I did hear from someone connected to the Jets that said, well, Paul kind of left Chevy holding the bag. I'm like, say whatever you want. Paul's got the cup. Right?
Yeah.
So, but he's a convenient target for forever if they want to blame him. It's like Doug McLean's another South Florida guy. He's like, they're still blaming me for Columbus. I've been gone for 20 years.
How about that?
They always got to have a scape. They always got to have a scapegoat. Anyways, Rennie, enjoy the summer. I appreciate the time. Do you want to plug your show for the people that can't get enough Jets and NHL talk?
Oh, well, I mean, it's a little bit of a holiday break. So if I'm pumping it, I'm trying to keep people's interest until around September, something like that. We have talked about doing some pop-up shows here and there. But like you said, if you're enjoying Kenny's social media, you're enjoying him tweeting about golf. It's pretty hard to peel that guy off the golf course in the summertime. So I'm ready and raring to go, Rod. So if you need me, I'm just sitting in this chair right here 24/7 waiting to go. But Kenny, he's another story.
Always doing a great job. Thank you, man. Enjoy the summer.
Thanks a lot. See ya.
Sean Reynolds from Sportsnet Winnipeg. We'll be right back with a sports update. We got Eric Engels coming up from Sportsnet Montreal in hour 2. Get your Habs questions in for that. We are live on the Game Plus television network, and that's on channel 1190, Bell MTS cable all across Manitoba. And, of course, throughout Western Canada and all of Canada, actually, in 31 U.S. states. WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with The Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Okay, here we go, everybody. Sports update time, and I'll get to as many of your comments as we can. Actually, Brent from Wellington, Florida wrote in. I should read it. Ba-ba-ba-bum. He goes, happy to hear about the new opportunity down here. Looking dapper today. Brent's the one that sent me this Florida Panthers golf shirt. He says, sorry about the duty. Yeah, Trudeau made me pay $15.86 for duty. Oh, well, it was worth it for the shirt. Thank you. I love it, Brent, in Wellington, Florida. So to the sports update. Dalton Varsho's 2-out single on the top of the 10th inning scored Vladdy Jr. from second base, and the visiting Toronto Blue Jays defeated the Seattle Mariners 5-4 on Sunday to win 2 of 3 games in the weekend series. By the way, my Moose Jaw Millers, that's the team for which I broadcast. No big deal. Had an 8-game win streak snap Sunday in Swift Current. We'll look to start another this week. The only home game is Thursday, however, to the Weyburn Beavers. Get your tickets to the WCBL All-Star Game in Okotoks, July 20th. We'll be there broadcasting live. Lewis Hamilton held off Max Verstappen's late charge to win a thrilling British Grand Prix on Sunday and secure his first victory since the penultimate race of the 2021 season. Ottawa's Derek G, in his first Tour de France, finished third after a hard day of racing through the dust of gravel roads on the race's 9th stage. Again, Ottawa's Derek G finishing third in the 9th stage of the Tour de France. I'm going to read this again. The sports update is for Landmark Cinemas. Coming to Landmark Cinemas July 19th, my mom's birthday. Twisters. This summer, the epic studio disaster movie returns with an adrenaline-pumping, seat-gripping, big-screen thrill ride that puts you in direct contact with one of nation's most wondrous and destructive forces. From the producers of the Jurassic and Indiana Jones series comes Twisters, a current-day chapter of the 1996 blockbuster Twister, in Landmark Cinemas July 19th. Also brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company. They have the perfect craft beer for your enjoyment, featuring their Core 5, Good Company Hazy Pale Ale, Common Crown Crafted Lager, Journeyman IPA, Brewmaster Blonde Ale, and Coppersmith Brown Ale, 4 of which sit below 5% ABV, making them the ideal beer for your everyday common affair. Let's get them going. We're heading into the most fun part of the show. That's hour 2, where we kind of turn it over to you with the topics. 902-518-3033, CFL, NHL, NFL. We'll get to Blue Jays, all coming up after this.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
This former producer of major market television shows writing into us anonymously to say he just found our show on Game Plus Television. Here's some tips. The show has ADD. It's all over the place. Your sound effects are annoying. And your host is arrogant. Right on all counts. But that's what we want. That's what we wanted it to be.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show. It's Hour 2. I just found out as the intro was rolling that I don't have a co-host here for Hour 2. Just now. You just told me. So that changes how I do things. I told you it was going to be fun. I'm hoping to stay on that vein. I'm trying to stay away from people. Not easy with this job. 902-518-3033 is the number to text us here. Well, let's roll back what we've talked about so far through Hour 1 as we await our co-host, Darren Moose DuPont. Number 1, we do it every day, the big story. And it's not number 1 in my life, but it's number 1 across the land, and I'm a big enough person to look outside myself and say, what's everybody else talking about? And it's being billed as the biggest soccer game in Canadian men's team history. And I get it. The Copa America semifinal on Tuesday, Argentina versus Canada. And it's interesting, we'll bring Moose in. It's interesting because you see that Lionel Messi is playing for Argentina. What I've seen, Darren, is that America, because they're out, they're throwing their support behind Messi in Argentina. And I'm like, you wouldn't want to cheer for your neighbor, Canada, but whatever. Cheer for whoever you want, right? We're the all-inclusive program here. You do you. But wouldn't you kind of hope USA people would cheer for Canada? Are you surprised that they're not?
I'm not really surprised. That's kind of become our MO a little bit. Look at Flames fans aren't cheering for Oiler fans, and, you know, really Canadian hockey fans from rival teams. I see a lot of that narrative of this shouldn't be Canada. This should be the USA in the semifinals. We really failed. And kind of, Canada's been kind of the team that nobody's really cheering for in this outside of Canada, which I think is okay. I mean, the games have been in the USA too. So I think they just hate seeing their little brother of the North doing better and playing in the games that they think they should be in.
I guess so. And by the way, this is all over the road, man. People, if you want to stay on the road, this is not the show for you. Because I got some great funny stories coming up here and all the rest. And some other leagues, too, that don't really pertain to mainstream. I told Darren this morning that the NFL preseason opens. It's August 1st, the Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio, between the Houston Texans and Chicago Bears. And I only know that because I was reading this article today. Basically, it said, NFL training camps are opening soon. Here's what you need to know. So I clicked on it, and I'm like, I'm good for a while because I'm enjoying, obviously, I'm broadcasting baseball up here in Canada. The Western Canadian Baseball League, our All-Star Games coming up July 20th in Okotoks, and I hope to see everybody there. The RP show is going to have a big role in that. I got a point, Darren. I'm going to tie it all together. Somehow or another, in the Canadian Elite Basketball League, which is also on the rise in this country, the largest pro league in the country with 10 teams, Saskatchewan's lost 7 in a row. The Rattlers, this coming off their best start in franchise history. What happened? They lost all their good players. One of those was Jalen Harris, the former Raptor. And listen, I went up to the game live at SaskTel Center because I'm a man of the people. And what did I tell you after? I called you on my way home. And I said, Jalen Harris is the Lionel Messi of the Canadian Elite Basketball League. He came into Inter Miami, which plays 18 miles from my house in South Florida. I didn't go to those games because you can't get a ticket. Isn't it funny? Before Messi was there, they're the worst team in the league, and they drew 7,000 in a 28,000-seat stadium. Then they signed Messi, and he's scoring 3 goals a game. They go to first place, and you can't get a ticket. Oh, and players are the thing. That was Lionel Messi. MLS was too easy for him. The CEBL was too easy for Jalen Harris. He scored 45 points in a game, Moose. And then by the way, he signed, apparently, I shouldn't say where, some Asian league for huge dough, and he's gone. And I don't know what you think about this, but the CEBL will never catch on if that's what it's going to be, a revolving door of players. Because you can laugh at the Ticats, and a lot of people are, coming out of the weekend. They got whipped 44-28 by the BC Lions Sunday to close out Week 5 in the CFL, and everybody's calling them Bo and 5. At least you know who Bo is. At least you know who the coach is, Scott Milanovic. Right, and on the other side, Rick Kemp. You know who those guys are. You have a connection to them. For $1 million, Darren, can you name me the coach of the Saskatchewan Rattlers?
Yeah, Larry Abney.
How about that?
I know the
Monopoly money. Did I tell you it was Monopoly money? Did I tell you that? How the hell did you know it was Larry Abney?
Well, I mean, I get. What did Joe say? I got 2 ears and 1 mouth, so I listen more than I speak.
You got me. Okay, how many of our viewers?
But that wasn't the point. That wasn't the point. I didn't.
No, it wasn't the point.
I should have.
You got me.
It, but
okay.
They're in year 5, 6. They're learning who they are.
6,
right? They're learning to walk. Like they're still figuring out who they are and what they're going to be. I think from a player's standpoint, they're starting to get a reputation that this is a great place to go to springboard to the next level. It's a great place to go, get some game film on tape, maybe, make a little money, build up the brand and go. We saw that Xavier Moon goes from the Edmonton Stingers and wins the MVP a couple of times, goes down to the USA now.
Signs in the NBA.
Goes down to the NBA, right? On to the NBA, right? You see this guy go to Europe to big dollars. So it's becoming a springboard league early on. I'm with you. I'd like to, for the fans, you'd like to see it become something where the players stick around. You can build more that reputation, the relationship between the players and the fans. But right now, it's a springboard league and a pretty good one.
Then you got to know what it is. And the CFL is somewhere trapped between the CEBL and probably the WCBL and the NHL, NFL, the Big Four. It's somewhere in between. It's got the major profile, a long-time national television contract, but the players don't make any money. It's not growing. And that ain't changing. Jay in Winnipeg writes that he says, Rennie is always a great guest. I want to come back on that in a second. Sean Reynolds last hour, he's such a great dude. Such a great dude. Remember running into him in Montreal at the Stanley Cup final? He made a beeline across the front of the Bell Center to track us down. John O'Flynn's watching out there in Vancouver, and he says, thanks, lads, for the chat about Canada soccer at the start of the show. I'll say it again. If that's all you want is talk, I can do that. But just don't expect me to know what I'm talking about. That's all. I mean, even with baseball, I could talk Blue Jays. I could. I'm broadcasting baseball now, minor league baseball. I know the game. I grew up playing it. I don't want to. Hockey is my jam, right? And football. So to this, Jeremy writes in from, I think he's in Winnipeg. He says, healthy full season of Patrick Kane and Tarasenko. Look out for the Wings making the playoffs. Well, I would hope so, but we said that last year, and if you're a fan, Jeremy, you would know they still don't have a goalie. We don't talk enough about this. You should still be paying goalies the most because they're the most important. That's the quarterbacks in the NFL make all the money. Goalies should be making all the money in the NHL. And the Panthers actually finally proved that with Bob and $10.5 million. It took a while, but you should be putting all the money in the crease. Dale Talon knew it, but I'll say it again. You fired him and you flamed him. And he's still bitter about it, but that's a story for another day. Back to feeding the Lions. They don't get enough hockey talk. It's kind of a trick question. Our poll question today is, should the NHL take a break? 50%, 57% are saying yes. 43% are saying no. They don't want the NHL to take a break. So, Darren, you want to hear a story and go off the rails here a little bit?
Yeah, always.
Everybody wants that. So I told you that Gunny and I took a drive on Saturday around Moose Jaw. And when I was a kid, your head's up your ass. You're not paying attention to anything. So my brother worked at the Wild Animal Park. Regionally famous Wild Animal Park in Moose Jaw. Probably not world famous. But his job was cleaning out the monkey and gorilla cages. That was his job. One of his jobs. And that's where I got to talk to the guy that fed the lions. There's another guy that fed the lions and fed all the animals. My brother cleaned the cages. So we're driving around, and Joe was like, oh, that's where the old Wild Animal Park was. And I was like, oh, I never even thought about it. And it's kind of sad because it's just empty now. Right? You look at it and you can see the giraffes and the zebra and the lion, right? Back in the day. So one time my brother came home and he was just rattled. He was just rattled. He was like 17. It was a summer job. That would have made me 11. I was 11. And we're like, my mom sat him down. She's like, Leroy, are you okay? And he goes, oh, I had an incident. He was spraying down the monkey cages and the gorilla cages with the water, and gorilla reached through the cage just like a jail. Think of it like a jail. Reached through, grabbed my brother by the ears, and clunk his head against the bars. Had him by the head right like this. And my dad's like, how did you get free? And my brother goes, I took the hose and just sprayed him right in the face. Let my brother go. Like that. So anyways, that was a true story from the Moose Jaw Animal Park.
Strong.
Inhumanly strong. And he said it was the one, look, I'm not a real expert of the primates, the ape family, but he said it was the one with the red nose and the purple, looks like a shell, you know that one? I don't even know what they're called. Somebody watching right now will know. That's who it was, the gorilla that did it. They grabbed my brother by the ears. And because he had the hose in his hand, thank God he had it. So anyways, one of the guys that was working there said to me, I said, what's it like? I'm 11. I'm no different now. I'm going to ask questions. I'm a curious type. So I was like, what's it like feeding the lions? What's it like feeding these animals? He's like, the more I feed these lions, the hungrier they get. He's feeding them steak. And I'm like, I never, ever, ever forgot that. And people are wondering, why are you bringing that up? Because I remembered it when it was Rough Rider fans. The more information I gave them, the more they consumed. They kept getting hungrier and hungrier and hungrier. They never wanted a break. And where I fell into disfavor in a few ways, but one with the Rough Riders, was that they wanted to take a break. So I'm like, no, you can't. This was after the change of presidents, obviously, because Hobson never cared. And a baboon. Thank you, Jim. Jim says it was a baboon, but it's a special kind of baboon. I'm going to have to Google what kind it was. But that's with NHL fans. You can't take a break. Even now, I was kind of getting upset here because some guy's writing into me. I don't mind saying, really. He's coming after Serena that she didn't show up on our year-end Cats and Bolts podcast to shake Bill Lindsay's hand. She didn't come on. And I'm like, well, that's up to her. Go after her. Don't come to me. And then the guy's starting to say some rude things, and I don't want to go too far down that road other than I was kind of getting upset coming into this hour. Then I realized he's the one with the problem, not me. David, or the one with the problem. David in Winnipeg writes in, he says, if I was your brother, I would have soiled myself. There you go. He was rattled. Let's go back to that story for a second.
We're not sure that he didn't.
I'll never. Yeah, we're not sure. Mom, unfortunately, she's not around to ask anymore. What should I Google? Types of baboons. What a summer job, eh?
Like I'm visualizing Rafiki from The Lion King.
What was the name? Oh,
wasn't it Rafiki?
All 9 types. I got it here. Hang on. I'll get it. What's up, Clark? Yeah. It's something like that. Mandrill? Yeah. Like Barbara Mandrell. I know that name doesn't mean anything to you guys, but the Manny Mandrill. The Mandrill. It was the Mandrill. Look, hey, do you want to Google it, guys? You got a minute? Because we are not going to spend any more time on this after this segment. I can promise the viewers that. The Mandrill. Call it up, Clark, if you don't mind, and put it over Darren's face because it'll be an improvement. But that was the story from the Moose Jaw. You asked me what kind of time we're having here this summer. It's that. We're driving around, telling stories, drinking coffee. Went down into a canola field the other day, and I took a bunch of photos. I wasn't thinking about Matthew Savoy being traded to the Edmonton Oilers, but I guess as we're sitting here right now, we got it. Here it comes. This is the Mandrill. This was the primate that grabbed my brother by the ears. That was the story. You got to ask him about it. Darren, I still soil myself just thinking about it.
Yeah. Like the thing about it, if he grabs you by the ears, you're staring him right face to face, looking at that red and the blue. Like that would freak anybody out. I'd be done.
Yes, exactly. Do you want to spend a minute on the Matthew Savoy, Ryan McLeod trade, by the way? Because after my friend Vaughn brought it up, I had to go look into it, and it was a salary dump. The fans still, to this day, think they're hockey trades, and most aren't, right?
McLeod, fast player, but like a 30-point NHL guy, but really not getting big minutes. I think he'll have an opportunity to see what his full potential is. They'll explore his full potential in Buffalo, and he'll get an opportunity to play. And he could very well be a great player for them. I think he will be a good player. With Savoy, you get a cheap player who's on an entry-level contract with massive upside. We don't know if that's going to be realized and he's going to be a top 6 player, but the potential's there. So you lose a guy who's going to contribute right in the NHL, you dump some salary, and you get the upside of potentially having a top 6 star player in Matthew Savoy. So I think actually it's a good trade for Edmonton, and it can work out okay for Buffalo.
You can tell the people who just dipped in weren't watching the whole segment. James Warnicki writes in, he says, actually, Rod, I think it was a mandrill you were describing. And yes, how does Jordan, you guys all know this stuff. Good for you. Allie in Texarkana says, they are super strong. I would be scared too. And Jay in Winnipeg says, there's wild baboons in Saskatchewan? This was at the Moose Jaw Wild Animal Park, which no longer exists, and we were going around for a drive on Saturday, and I was telling my guy, Joe, that my brother worked there and as a high school student back in the 80s and how this baboon almost killed him. Yeah. We'll be back in a moment, and we will get serious, I think, when we return. No promises. Eric Engels from Sportsnet Montreal on the way, too. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men Without Hats. And Spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw Event Center, Saturday, November 16th. Tickets on sale now at sasktix.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Hi, I'm just having fun here, as always. Can we bring the Moose back in? Talking about staying relevant, Moose.
Very funny.
You see that our... What?
I did.
I wasn't paying attention.
They put the
what you
baboon
did.
photo up. The man drill.
Oh, they did?
Let's bring back
I'm
Moose.
sorry, I had my nose buried. Let's bring back, let's give it a name. Barbara Mandrill. Means nothing to you guys. You know, we were talking about the poll question today. Should the NHL take a break? 57% of respondents saying yes. I thought it would be more. And I see the SJHL's writing, the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, of which we partner with, they're writing a series of features on their coaches throughout the summer. Brett Pickles Pilkington is today's featured coach. So I was sending GIFs and memes of Pickles. I'm the only guy that calls him Pickles, and I think it's hilarious, but I'm apparently the only guy. But you see, the leagues are trying to stay relevant, and some just want to go away, which, by the way, since we're sitting here today and spitballing, it looked like you were going to say something. Before I do a complete hairpin turn, do you have anything to add to the discussion?
I was going to say, it was was Pickles used in the headline of the article? And you are a big nickname guy.
No.
You're good at it. We're in this
I'm
era
huge on
where like the
nicknames.
nickname is like a lost art. We don't have a lot of good nicknames.
We've been in that era for a very long time. And the guys used to say, some of the guys that I give nicknames to, they're like, the most ironic thing is ever, you give the best nicknames, but you don't have one. And I'm like, I am totally okay with that. On YouTube, 61% of respondents saying, yes, the NHL should take a break. We talked a lot of CFL football in hour one, and if anybody wants to write in on that here in hour two, they can. 902-518-3033. or on the YouTube feed. Good morning, bud. The Millers are starting to report for duty. What a long weekend, by the way, Darren. I broadcast a doubleheader on Friday night. Don't ever do that. 14 innings of baseball. Thank God it didn't go to any extras, and thank God the Millers swept it. But I'm like, I am out of air. Can't talk anymore. It's like the longest broadcast day of my life was Friday. That's why I was ready for a break Saturday, Sunday. But to the NFL, feast or famine with those guys and gals, eh? I was reading this morning, August 1st is the first preseason game in Canton, Ohio, the Hall of Fame game, Texans and Bears. Training camps will open up here in roughly a week's time, depending on the team, maybe a little more. But holy smokes. And then it'll be full on, you won't be able to turn. And college football, too. You like that or do you not like that?
Which part? That it's just on and away we go pretty early.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then you can't get away from
again. I do like a break. I think a break is good for anybody and for any league. I think it's okay because then you can have a really big splash to get started again. Everybody loves MLB opening week. You know, the start of training, spring training, and then opening week, and it's huge. NFL will ramp up for sure. And it's fun when you have a break and then you're back with training camp and preseason and the fantasy football drafts, and then they go crazy for a while. So I love a break. I think it's great. The NHL, it seems like we usually get a break from the Stanley Cup to relax, and then the draft and free agency. I think it feels overwhelming because we never had that break because the playoffs went so long this year.
And yet a lot of fans don't have a problem with it. That's all. So I guess what I'm sitting here advising, I mean, take my advice or don't. I don't really care, but it's up to you to step back. Like when this would be my 4th September in America, 4th fall. And when I first got down there, I was overwhelmed. You don't understand. It's everywhere you turn football, not just NFL. But I mean, I live in the Miami area, so it's mostly Dolphins. There's 3 all-sports radio stations. All they talk about is the Dolphins. And then when they're not talking about the Dolphins, they're talking about the Miami Hurricanes. That's it. So you can't turn off the radio or turn it on and not get that. The television, your phone, everywhere you go, everybody's talking about it, which is fine. They love it. But I can't. And it's not that I'm not obviously a football guy, but in Calgary, that summer, 2 summers ago when I was there doing the show, the Tkachuk thing and the Johnny Gaudreau thing, it was too much. I was staying at the Grey Eagle. I would go back to my room and just put my pillow over my head. And while some people are going to say, hey, suck it up, Rod, I get it. That's totally fine because they love it. They can't get enough. I can't. It was too much. When I'm going to a gas station and people are asking me or out to eat, where do you think Tkachuk's going to go? Where do you think Gaudreau's going to go? And they're wrong all the time. It's just, we were talking about it at the time and we're talking about it here right now. It's just speculation. It's a waste of time. And some people love it. Right? That's what they do. I don't. There's a more productive use of my time and energy than where Matthew Tkachuk is going to be traded to or signed. You know, nobody said Florida, just so you know. Nobody. So do you see what I'm saying on this?
Yeah, I do. But that's what the fans love in between because for every team except the Florida Panthers, they never won the cup last year. They didn't succeed. They didn't reach their ultimate goal. They're all trying to get better, right? So every fan wants to know what can happen that can make us the best team in the league. So they all fantasize about what free agent they can sign or what trade could be made or what prospects coming up that's going to be the next 40 goal scorer. So it's all about selling, as you say, if you're not selling wins, you better be selling hope. And that's what these conversations are trying to do to fan bases. They're trying to sell hope.
Right. Well, also just keep the buzz alive, you know, and that's where I could easily, for the CFL fans that are watching, trust me, I love the CFL enough that I could go on the air every day for 2 hours. I used to do it, and it would be easy for me. But they didn't want that, and I think they want that, and it's too late. I don't. There are other things for me now. Nope. That window's closed. Now, having said all that, back to that point an hour ago, because it is the summertime. With the Argos losing in Saskatchewan on Thursday night, 30-23, and their starting quarterback, Cameron Dukes, didn't look very good at all. He didn't. He was supposed to be the guy to make everybody forget about the suspended Chad Kelly. I'm assuming it was right after and he is suspended for violating the league's gender-based policy, if I'm saying that correct. If I'm not, I'm close. I think it must have been right after the game. The head coach of the Argonauts, Ryan Dinwiddie, said, when Chad Kelly's off his suspension, he'll be starting. Something like that. I read the headline, not the story. I said last hour, it's the Argos team. They can do what they want. It'll be up to us whether we want to support them or watch them play. That would be my answer to that. But to sit and yell and scream at the Argos, waste of time. Kirk in Toronto watching on Game Plus as he does every day. He says, hi, Rod. Chad Kelly serves his punishment by the league and the team. Then he should be welcomed back with open arms. What? No second chance for some fans? Get over it or don't watch. You're in the ballpark of what I'm saying, Kirk, but not entirely. I'm not saying welcome him back with open arms. I'm just saying he'll be back. Whether you open your arms to him or not is your choice. And again, this is part of the problem. You see why I got a second chance to do things here, and I'm not going to do it the same way that I did it the first time, i.e., I know somebody very well who conducted that investigation of Chad Kelly. As they say, I know things. So if I know those things, you darn sure the Argos know those things. And because I will, as far as from what I know of Pinball Clemens and Ryan Dinwiddie, I would vouch for those guys. I don't know Chad Kelly at all. Never met him. So they're going to do it. It sounds like, Darren, they're going to do it. Put him back behind center. From what they know of Chad Kelly. I know other things, part of that investigation, and I'm damn sure I'm not running that football team, I guess is what I'm saying. But for Canadians and CFL fans, it's going to have to come down to personal choice whether you want to support them or not. That's my read on it. I'm not saying I'm right. What's yours?
And I think the way that we'll find out and the way that the CFL fans and the media will react to Chad Kelly's return will have a lot to do with the first, few times that we see Chad Kelly at the microphone. When we see him speak, when there's a press conference, when he comes back, he'll obviously talk about, I would assume he would talk, shouldn't say obviously, because nothing's obvious, but I would assume or hope that he'll talk about it, and we'll know, what his actions are, the words that he says. I know they're just words, but that will go a long way to deciding how the CFL fan base will react to Chad Kelly coming back to the league.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people are just sitting here watching intently with what we're saying about it. And to be honest, as uncomfortable as this conversation as it is, it's exactly what we want with this show, which I call it The View for sports fans. It's a social issue that intersects with sports. It's actually perfect for what we do here. And that's why I still haven't met Chad Kelly. And I'm still not necessarily ready to write him off just because this guy told me this and he was part of the investigation. By the way, yeah, we drove around and we looked at the Moose Jaw Wild Animal Park. And yeah, we walked into a canola field and took photos and did all these things. We also sat on the patio at Starbucks. And Joe and I had a long talk about, are you somebody that's influenced, not you, Darren, specifically, but are you, the viewer, influenced by what somebody says about this guy or gal? Because I don't go by what somebody says. But I feel like most people do, right? And then it becomes that political PR football that the Argos are in and Chad. It's a massive PR football because I was in Tampa Bay a couple of months ago and there was an Argonauts season ticket holder there who said to me, my wife won't go to any games as long as Chad Kelly's quarterbacking. This was before he was suspended. And I'm like, again, I'm not going to judge you. But you know what? And that's not necessarily something that she's doing wrong. She's going by what she says. Now it becomes a PR battle as whether you're going to get her in the stadium or not. Right? Ooh, am I glad I'm not the Argos. That's all I can say.
Yeah, but they'll have their opportunities. And based on this situation, they're in control of their own destiny. right? If Chad Kelly is cleared by the league, and again, I don't know exactly what the process is, or if he needs to be cleared by the league or have an interview after the 9 games or what, but if the suspension's up and he's eligible to play, now it's not just cut and dry. Well, he's eligible, so he's going to play. You do need to appeal to your fans, and you do need to, get to the microphone and not explain yourself, but you do need to face the music, and they control that narrative. And so they have an opportunity to really win back some fans with the way that they handle it. And it's simple, being remorseful, being a good, saying the right things that show that you're, human beings and want to play football. And I think there is an opportunity for him to come back to the league.
Sure, but he's not helping himself. Every time I'm ready to forgive him, he does something stupid. So
there is that.
So when you say they have a chance to win back their fans, they have a chance to lose a lot of fans, as does the CFL. So that's why they're sitting on this slippery slope. Habs fans, get all your questions in because Eric Engels joins us from Sportsnet Montreal next. Thanks, Moose. Have a great Toronto day.
You bet. See ya.
We'll be right back here on the Game Plus Television Network, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, WQEE Radio, and Spotify.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Everybody, you know when we talk hockey, it's for our friends at Common Crown Brewing out of Calgary, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca. Please welcome in Sportsnet's Eric Engels, Montreal. We do have questions from the Habs fans. Hey, Eric, happy summer, man. I appreciate you finding us the time. If you don't mind, our poll question is, should the NHL take a break? But 61% of people saying yes. How would you vote on that?
Should they take a break like right now?
Should at all? I feel like it doesn't take a break, the NHL. How would you answer that? Should it take a break or not?
I think it's going to be pretty quiet for the next few weeks, but it's a dangerous thing to be saying right now as a reporter who's off for a few weeks. All of a sudden something happens and boom. Rod, I'm not going to lie. I'm sitting here just hoping you'll stand up and go dunk on one of those hoops. I know you're tall enough to do it.
How about that?
Yeah, well, listen, and you could do it too, man. You are fly. Like I said, you're looking real good. When I saw you in the press box in Sunrise, I'm like, what's your secret, man? I don't know if it's diet or you're hitting the gym or what you're doing, but I like it. I'm going to jump into the fan question. Chad in Lethbridge wants to know, with CP31 done forever now, who will be the next one? And my guess is there will never be the next one. But who is the future in the crease of the Montreal Canadiens, Eric?
Yeah, I don't know if you want to put anybody in the same category as Carey Price before they've started their career, but I think Canadiens fans are hopeful that Jacob Fowler will be the guy who steps in and obviously had a great season in college last year and just has a kind of winning pedigree at the other levels of hockey. So I think people assume that once he ascends to NHL level, he'll be able to kind of not necessarily fill Price's shoes, but be a legitimate number one goalie. But look, Sam Montembeault has done a great job coming in. Caden Primo, who a lot of people were giving up on, despite having a very similar college record to the one Jacob Fowler is in the middle of authoring, you know, the point being, it takes to like 25, 26 until you really know what you have in net. And even if Jacob Fowler comes out of a stellar college career, hits the professional ranks, has a couple of skids along the way, just be careful what you say. You know, like I think people look at Devin Levi in Buffalo and assume he's got to be ready right away and get like it just takes time. It takes until they hit like 26 years old before you really know. And Montembeault's a perfect example, right? Like he was in Florida, people gave up on him. He was lost on waivers when he came into Montreal because they had Price injured, and people were looking at him like he's not an NHL goalie. And a year later, they were begging the Canadiens to make him the starter. So just goaltending's voodoo, man. Like it's very dangerous to project too far ahead.
That's a great point. You mentioned two of those guys, Montembeault and Primo. Was Jake Allen ever expected to be that guy, or was he just acquired to be a backup and now he's gone?
He was always supposed to be the support staff, right? Like bring those two guys along, give them a bit of a parachute up top for, you know, to play games, to split games, and to show them the way of how to be a professional in the NHL. And I don't know if there was anybody better suited for that, as Jake came in as a backup to Carey Price and then took on the kind of 1B role with Montembeault and Primo and bringing them along. Like they're better off for having been around him for a couple of years, that's for sure. And you could see the impact on and off the ice. Jake will do a great job in New Jersey now. Even with Jacob Markstrom there, I think, you know, there's enough games for Jake to play to make an impact on the ice. What he'll do for that team off the ice will be enormous because they're still a young group.
Eric, you covered every Habs game. You're with them every day. How big of a step forward did they take this past season? And how much further can they go this next season? Are they playoff yet or not? Because they're so young.
Yeah, I think, you know, when you assess steps forward, you want to be able to attach results to them. And that's a more difficult process for a team that's 2 years entrenched in a rebuild. We have to pull at somewhat intangible things rather than the results to be able to make the case that the Canadiens took a big step forward last year, because they finished in a pretty similar place in the standings, bottom 5, and the results weren't markedly different aside from 10 points in the standings that didn't get them any further up the chain, really. So, but you saw so much progress in their shaping of their identity under Marty St. Louis, the way they want to play, the way they want to present themselves, the program, the culture, the development of the individuals and the team concepts. There was a ton of progress last year, and that was the value of covering it on a day-to-day beat, is being able to kind of pinpoint those little things that defy what you see in the results and be able to make people understand where they're growing. I don't know going into this year if you can use the same paradigm. I think there will have to be some results attached to the process. The process really became healthy last year. Now it must lead to some better results despite the roster being relatively unchanged. And that's going to be a really interesting dynamic to follow this year, because I think Kent Hughes, Jeff Gordon, the guys in charge, Marty St. Louis, they all want to take a step forward. The players who are there absolutely want to take a step forward. They feel there's been organic growth in the team, in the way they play, and in the individuals. Now they have to prove it, though.
Man, it's awesome. And my last question for you is regarding that, the honeymoon for Martin St. Louis, because it's different than every other team. Going back to Dick Irvin Sr., they love the local guys. Mario Tremblay, Guy Carbonneau, now Martin St. Louis, right? But the leash doesn't last forever. They're still on the honeymoon, I sense, with Martin St. Louis.
Yeah, and I don't think he's done anything to take them out of it. I think the fans, because Marty does such a great job of expressing himself on a daily basis with us, have a pretty unique insight and window into the way he thinks about things and why it makes sense and why he's the man for the job. I think patience in general for the process here will be tested this year, not just for the coach, for the players, for management, for everybody involved. Because, the only thing a fan really has to be excited about in a rebuild, which they're past the first couple of phases is the idea that you're moving in a direction that brings you closer to where you want to go. And so if Canadiens fans don't see that, and they're seeing it a little less off the ice, right? Like, they're excited that Ivan Demidov is now a Canadian and he'll be here in a year, and they're excited about Michael Hage getting drafted 21st overall, but they also didn't see much movement in the market, and they're wondering if there will be any between now and the beginning of the season. I personally think there will be, despite Kent Hughes managing expectations very well on that front to not pigeonhole himself. But the patience that they have shown, which has been remarkable because they're knowledgeable fans and they know what they're trying to build here.
Yeah.
It will be tested this year to varying degrees, and for everybody involved. And no matter how much people love Marty St. Louis, it will be tested with him too.
Oh, yeah. You can't fool those fans. you can't. It's not like the Sunbelt states. I guess my last one, was there a backstory on Celine Dion coming on stage to announce the pick? That was kind of, I'm watching on TV that you could hear the, oh, in the room. Was there a backstory on that?
Well, just the Canadiens explained, like, the NHL had told all the teams, we're at the Sphere. We want some excitement. If you can think of anybody who's a guest, celebrity, fan of the team, whatever it is, that you can get involved in this process, we encourage you to do it. And the Canadiens, we were on a trip to Vegas early last season, and Celine Dion was actually at the game with her kids and came to meet Marty St. Louis. She was downstairs. We were talking with Chantal Maccabé, who's the VP of the Canadiens PR staff, a former reporter, a great reporter. And, Celine knew Chantal and said, would you like to come meet our coach and this and that? So the connection was kind of built there. And then at the draft, I think just one of the other PR staffers, Charles, who works for the team, basically said, like, maybe we could ask Celine if she'd be willing to do it. And I think they wanted to keep it under wraps. Otherwise, maybe she wouldn't do it. So they managed to pull it off, and she came out, and that was quite a moment.
Boy, was it great, for sure. Eric, thanks for the time, and, man, always enjoy seeing you. Keep up the great work. Enjoy whatever summer you can.
I will be enjoying, as you can see. I'm in a good place right now, and I think it'll be peaceful for the next couple of weeks, and then we'll see what comes.
Good for you, man. Enjoy. Eric Engels of Sportsnet Montreal and sportsnet.ca. We'll be right back with Overtime right after this. Your final comments and a sports update. There is NHL news today that we'll get to. We are live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Welcome back for Overtime, everybody. I got some cool sports stuff. How about this? My guy, Bob Merrier, he's no slouch. He's a sober coach to the stars and one of my first mentors in the industry of sober coaching, recovery coaching. He was Rob Ford's sober coach. He's texting. Literally the biggest Hab fan I know. He's born and raised Montreal. I said, got any questions for Eric Engels? Just waking up on the West Coast, says Bob. He's out doing a job in L.A. Should have known. Oh, well, we got it covered with Eric Engels. He says Eric Engels, real cool guy. I'm like, I know that. Sports update. Pete Alonso will participate in his 5th straight home run derby with the New York Mets first baseman trying to win for the 3rd time. Kansas City's Bobby Witt Jr., Baltimore's Gunnar Henderson, and Philadelphia's Alec Bohm also have committed to the July 15th event at Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas. Alonso talked about it more in depth today before the Mets played the Pirates in Pittsburgh. He said he wants to use whatever winnings he earns to refurbish amateur baseball fields through his charitable foundation. How about that, Clark? Alonso has donated portions of his previous Derby prizes to the Wounded Warrior Project, aiding wounded service members in Tunnel to Towers, which supports first responders and their families. From the National Hockey League, the Washington Capitals named Chris Patrick as their general manager today, with longtime GM Brian McClellan remaining president of hockey operations. The 48-year-old Patrick, who was also named as a senior vice president, has worked for the Capitals in various capacities since 2009 and served as assistant GM under McClellan the past 3 years. The son of longtime team president Dick Patrick previously was director of player personnel after a lengthy stint as a pro scout, and now he's just the 7th GM in the organization's 50-year history. As a lot of my hockey friends in the NHL will say, you have to be born into it. The sports update is for Landmark Cinemas. It's Seniors Day today, Monday at Landmark Cinemas. Get more of the movies you love every Monday for less. Seniors enjoy 20% off the posted seniors admission price. And to sweeten the deal, you get 20% off the concession prices too. So make Mondays your movie day, because a great deal never gets old. Check your favorite Landmark Cinemas for showtimes and pricing. We're also brought to you by EMJ Marketing. Connect with thought leaders and industry experts through EMJ Marketing's Speaker Bureau, emjmarketing.com. And also brought to you by the Saskatchewan Rattlers professional basketball team. They are heating up this season, led by their talented coaching staff from the Los Angeles Clippers. Be sure to get your tickets now and do not miss the action at SaskTel Center this summer. They are home on Thursday night. Who they got in there Thursday? I wrote it down. They've lost 7 in a row, so I wouldn't say I've lost. Oh, the Winnipeg Sea Bears. The Winnipeg Sea Bears are coming to town Thursday night. How about that? Get your tickets at Ticketmaster.ca or head on down to the Rattlers front office in downtown Saskatoon. 902-518-3033 is the number to reach us here on the Sober Carpenter text line. Man, we've had some interesting talks today, haven't we? Phil in, where is he? Dauphin, Manitoba writes in. He says, good day, good day. Thank God it's Monday. Hell of a weekend indeed. Watching the Calgary Stampede. The Bombers finally win. I wasn't big on soccer, but my coworkers got me into it. Go Canada. Go Netherlands. Where do you work, Phil? I'm just interested to know what industry has you employed, and they're all over the soccer. It's hype. It's hype. It's hype. This is where, I'll be honest, the CFL and I took a fork in the road because I wanted to talk about it 365. They did not. They may still feel that way. I don't know. But I know what sells. It's hype. And soccer. The guy just said it. Phil in Dauphin, Manitoba says that my coworkers got me into the soccer. Yeah, because everywhere you turn, and maybe, I don't know, are your coworkers new Canadians? Got to be careful what you say these days. Dan in Saskatoon says, congrats, Chris Patrick. Should have been Ross Mahoney's job. Just saying. Look who's just chimed in. Can you put this on the screen, Clark? Bob Merrier. Good morning, Rod. Greetings from Los Angeles. We were just talking about you, Bob. Sober coach to the stars and one of my mentors in this wonderful trade of recovery coaching. You just missed Eric Engels. You might want to rewind it. We talked about who's the next future, who's the next Carey Price. How big of a step can the Habs take this year? Is the honeymoon still on for Martin St. Louis. And what's the backstory on Celine Dion announcing the pick in the first round? We covered a lot of ground with Eric Engels, now that I think about it. From the Bomber fans, David in Winnipeg writes in, he says, Ed Tate's reporting Zach Caleros back practicing. Phew. That's some welcoming news. Yeah, well, you won without him last week. We have not even really looked forth yet to week 6 in the Canadian Football League. Regarding Fowler, Strong. Oh, the next goalie. Yeah, you got it. I know, Bobby. I knew you were all over it. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says second chances are one thing, but what about third and fourth chances? Seems to me Chad Kelly's second chance was signing with the Argos in the first place. I'm just saying it's going to be up to everybody's individual choice whether you're going to follow and back the Argos and the CFL on this. It's a tough one. Thursday, Toronto at Montreal. Viva les Alouettes. I think it's Vive les Alouettes. Not like Viva Las Vegas. That is Espanol, senor. Friday, Calgary at Winnipeg in a rematch of the 2001 Grey Cup. Saturday, Saskatchewan at BC. And Sunday, Ottawa at Edmonton, otherwise known as the Toilet Bowl. Yeah. Thank you, Eric Engels. Thank you, Sean Reynolds. Most of all, thanks to you. We'll see you tomorrow, noon Eastern, right here. Have a good one.
Who has more fun than us?